he joins us to discuss what this battle looks like on the ground there. And we were just having a little bit of a side discussion about just how bad Pennsylvania has gotten, because it didn't used to be that bad. Tell us about what the state of life is right now. You've got a pretty aggressive, permissive law there.
Yeah, so we have the law, it's called the Pennsylvania Abortion Control Act, and actually when it was put into place, it was one of the strongest pro-life laws in the country under Roe versus Wade. It was back in the 1980s, signed into law by then pro-life governor Bob Casey. His son has disappointed us in the U.S. Senate. But since that time, with the overturn of Roe versus Wade, with the Dobbs decision and things, and seeing what other states have done with heartbeat bills and those sorts of things, and 20-week bills and all of the protections that have come into life, Pennsylvania now stands out as having very expansive abortion laws. To allow the abortion of an unborn child that as late as 6 months is just something that shouldn't be the case. But there are pressures in our state with our governor, Josh Shapiro, is strongly pro-abortion, and a House of Representatives led by Democrats that are pushing progressive agenda in terms of abortion up until birth. We have a big fight on our hands in Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. And so you're leading this march, which you started last October. Is that right?
Well, this is our third annual. This past October was our third annual March for Life. And each year we've grown. We had over 5,000 the first year back in 2021. 2022, we had 6,000. Last year, we had nearly 7,000 there at the Pennsylvania March for Life. Very exciting. And a huge turnout of lawmakers. We still have a very strong delegation of pro-life lawmakers in Pennsylvania who need to be supported by pro-life citizens in our state to keep the pressure going for life and to protect us against what's happened in some of the states that surround Pennsylvania.
Right.
Yeah, Michael, how important is that to kind of, keep these marches going and to change hearts and minds when it comes to abortion?
Well, it's important in a variety of different ways. Number one, it brings pro-life people together and to say, hey, I'm not alone. There's a lot of people in my state who support this and who are encouraged by it. Number two, it gives encouragement to the lawmakers to keep up the fight. It's a lonely existence for them, especially with what the mainstream media, as we would call it, and all of the pressures that are coming out of Washington, D.C., and even our governor's office, who tweets about every sixth or seventh tweet is about abortion and pro-abortion. Lawmakers need to know that people are there on their side. But the march is one day. The pro-life action needs to be throughout the year, whether it's supporting your local pregnancy resource center, engaged in writing letters and working with your citizens to explain why the pro-life issue is so vitally important. It's the most significant and important civil rights issue, human rights issue of our day. It always has been since the Roe versus Wade decision, and something that we can't let go of, and we need to be working 365 throughout the year.
Yeah, and you talk about showing up, and even through snow, everyone's starting to show up here at the National Mall. And for you locally, you've got some great speakers, I guess, to kind of entice people. You've got David B. Wright already booked.
Well, he spoke last year at our March for Life. This year, we don't know. It's going to be September 23rd in Harrisburg. We've had Abby Johnson, we had David B. Wright, Ryan Baumberger, so many different pro-lifers. And that's what's been exciting. Number one is that they get to hear great speakers when they come to that rally. But number two, they hear lawmakers, some of the pro-life champions that we have in the legislature, and even local testimonies. This past year, back in October at our march, we had a mom who, through a pregnancy resource center, was able to have her baby born. She had the baby with her on stage. Those are the kind of testimonies that really show the value of life. So the 2024 March is going to be September 23rd. It's a Monday. We expect it to be a legislative session so that people can then go from the rally and march around the Capitol and then go into the Capitol and talk with their lawmakers about the value of life.
Yeah, and we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I do want to talk a little bit more about that. Growing up personally in Pennsylvania and seeing how things have changed so much, the landscape when it comes to abortion, it could seem a little depressing, but there is so much hope. And we see that things can change as well. So let's talk a little bit more about that and some of the other things maybe you're working on.
Well, the hope that we have in Pennsylvania, number one, is that we have a broad network of pro-life citizens across the state, like those that show up at the March for Life, and organizations like Pennsylvania Family Institute, where I work, and other pro-life groups that are actively engaged as well. We have great solid leaders in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, the minority leader in the House, the majority leader in the Senate, both very strongly fervent pro-life leaders, and the Senate president also pro-life. She used to serve on the staff of Senator Rick Santorum, who we know is vitally pro-life, strongly pro-life. So there's a lot of hope in that regard. We have a wonderful network of pregnancy resource centers that have coalesced and realized there's a target on their back, and they need to be standing up for life, but then also having citizens come alongside them with support, financial support, and volunteering to help show that there is an alternative to abortion, that the lies of the Planned Parenthoods in the media are not true, and that women can make it and do well as they give and support life.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you for having me.
You've got your work cut out for you.
God bless.
Here's a look at all 14 states